afterwards, so they can watch it if they miss it, anything at the beginning here. So anyway, welcome everybody. I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I want to thank you for joining us this evening and spending Valentine's Day with us instead of your Valentine. Or as I was telling people, maybe you're all our Valentine. So we're all each other's Valentine, which I think is awesome. My name is Curtis, and I'm a guide with Trek Travel. And tonight is all about cycling vacations of a lifetime. And I always tell you, it takes a team to have a cycling vacation of a lifetime, and also, frankly, to tell you about them. And so joining us this evening is Hershey. He's a good friend of mine and a veteran guide who's been traveling with Trek Travel all around the world for years. So he'll be here telling you all about the spotlight. And we also have Amber. She is our awesome leader, and she knows everything about Trek Travel. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. And it's really fun on nights like tonight when we have a local bike shop joining us. And so we have Lizzie from Trek Lawrence and all the folks that she has there in the store. So thank you all for joining us as well. We're really excited to have you. And throughout the presentation, I know we're here virtually, but at the end of the evening, when we open up the questions, we're going to throw the cameras on, and then you can ask us questions live. So this is more like a movie at this point in time. So anyway, for those of you who are joining us virtually, give you some Zoom tips. I know we've all become experts on Zoom in the last couple of years, but on your menu bar, you have the mute button and the video toggle button. You also have a chat box button. We're gonna have a couple quizzes throughout the evening. I'll say turn on your chat box, and you can throw the answer in there. Though with two people, it's probably easy just to shout it out as well. But and there's also closed captioning. So for anybody who likes closed captioning, you can toggle that on. I can tell you, I seem to watch TV with closed captioning all the time now. So for the folks who are joining us virtually, if I could just have you, click that mute button and the video toggle button off, and so we can save some bandwidth, we will get started. At Trek Travel, we like to begin each day with a route talk. So you have an idea of where you're going to go that day, what you're going to see, what to expect. So we're going to start this presentation with our little presentation route talk. We're going to start our journey by answering the question, who is Trek Travel? And then we move on to why you should travel with us, kind of what sets us apart from other folks. Then we'll climb up to our trip spotlights, which are Asheville and the California wine country. And then we'll quickly, yet safely, because Trek Travel is always all about its guest safety, descend to touch on how to book a trip, and then we're going to end with a little Q&A time. So let's begin with, who is Trek Travel? We're a group of people who believe the world is best seen from the seat of a bicycle, and because you're joining us tonight, I'm guessing you do as well. Trek Travel runs cycling vacations all over the world, and we're always scouting out new locations to take you to. And we've been doing it for over 20 years now. And over all those years, we've been winning awards. We've been voted one of the top vacation companies by our guests and partners over the years by various organizations. Most recently, we were voted a top 10 tour operator by Travel and Leisure for 2023. Number 5, in fact, which is our highest finish ever. This is a repeat from 2022, 2021, 2018, and 2016. We are extremely proud of these awards, and we just continue to work hard to deserve more and more of them, because it's a reflection of the great service we're providing to all of our customers. So what do we do that has us earning all of these awards, you ask? Well, at Trek Travel, we like to call it our secret sauce. It's what sets us apart from other tour operators. But rather than telling you about it, I want to show you a video narrated by our president, Tanya Burke, called Why Trek Travel.
Travel is transformational. It allows you to have a different perspective, get to know a culture, your surroundings, and the landscape around you. But a cycling vacation really is different. You can see things up close and personal. You can smell the flowers. You work up an appetite riding your bike, and so it makes the dinners taste that much better. And for me, it is the absolute best way to see the world. We meticulously plan every single one of our trips, from hand-picked perfect accommodations to the region's best riding and local and cultural experiences that really immerse you in the place that you're traveling. And these are all the elements of an awesome trip. Our guides provide exceptional hospitality. They're really focused on making sure we have a seamless and effortless experience for our guests, and they provide wow moments that you would never expect. If you're avid and want to go do some epic climbing, you can do that. If you want more of a leisurely ride, we have trips for you as well. We also offer e-bikes, and they have been an absolute game changer. People can go further than they ever imagined. So we have different rider levels, different trip styles, price points, and destinations all throughout the world. We go to North America, Europe, South America, Asia, and pretty much anywhere you can dream up, we can take you on a vacation there. The most important thing, and I think everyone at Trek Travel shares this, is taking care of people. And that's why we do what we do. It's ingrained in our training, and it's ingrained in our commitment to providing exceptional hospitality. And our hope is that all of these elements come together and provide an experience of a lifetime.
I absolutely love that video. It makes me want to get out and ride my bike, which is tough this time of the year, especially when we've got some snow in. But speaking of riding, we know that you're here tonight because you love to ride as well. And bikes are one of the many ways that Trek Travel sets itself apart from other tour operators. Our standard bike for most of our trips, obviously depends on the trip, whether it's a gravel trip or whatnot. But our standard bike is the Trek Domani SL7, which is a full carbon fiber bike with electronic shifting, disc brakes, and carbon wheels. Yes, that is our standard bike. The bike that you ride has cyclification matters. That's why we provide the best bikes in the business, and why you probably want to go back to your local Trek shop when you get back from a trip and want to buy that bike if you don't already own it. Not only do we have amazing road bikes, but we also have two super fun e-bikes on many of our trips. Again, it always depends on the trip, so you always want to check the website and see what bikes are offered. The first, as seen in this photo, is the Verve Plus. This e-bike has a more upright fit, like a hybrid bike with a low step through, which means not having to lift your leg over the saddle. But it's just a really great, solid bike. You're going to love it. And speaking of e-bikes, we have our first trivia question coming up. And yes, it's going to be about an e-bike. So why don't you open up the chat box? And the question is this: how many watt hours are in the battery of a Verve Plus 3? And I'm sure Lizzie at the Trek store knows the answer to this. So she's disqualified from.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, you already know the answer. But the questions are the answers are A, 150, B, 500, C, 750, or D, 300. For you at home, just feel free to throw the answer into the chat box. I will tell you, watt hours are a measure of battery capacity. So think of it as like the size of a gas tank. So the higher the number, the greater capacity that you have. And I'll say, if you ever looked at your cell phone, you'll see they have like milliamp hours. Those all have numbers too, or any kind of battery has some measurement of its capacity. So, anyway, folks, they put answers in. The correct answer is B, 500 watt hours, which is a really good size battery. That'll get you going for quite a ways. I know I've had to track down some people on these Verves before, and I couldn't keep up with them. Our second e-bike, available on some trips, including the Napa trip that we're talking about tonight. It's included on the Napa trip, but not the Asheville trip, is the new Damani Plus SLR7. This is an electric assist road bike. So it looks and feels like a regular road bike. It has a 2x12 drivetrain, so it has like a normal road bike drivetrain, but it comes with a little extra boost to take you farther and faster than you get without the boost. There is an additional charge for this bike when it is available. I can tell you, I personally have one of these, and it is absolutely awesome. It makes me feel like a pro on those days where I don't have as much time and just want to zip through a ride. I'm just flying and feel like an absolute pro. And then on other days when I don't have the energy or it's a windy day and I maybe wouldn't normally go out, I just turn on the boost and it lets me kind of get through something I wouldn't normally do. Or I'm a bigger guy, so keeping up on hills. This bike is absolutely amazing. And if you like the idea of riding an e-bike on your trip, we highly recommend that you pop into your local Trek dealer, take one out for a spin so you can kind of get a feel for it. And if you're going to use a Verve, same thing. If you haven't used a Verve before, you want to get out and ride it, feel what it's like for the uptake and the assist. There's like a feeling of that. And also, while the Damani Plus is super light, the Verve has a little weightier than most bikes. So you want to feel like that feels like the weight of having to kind of, stop that, slow it down and turn. So if you plan on using an e-bike on one of your trips, definitely jump into a local Trek store and, check one out. And the question that we get all the time is about rider levels on our trips. And so we classify our trips into 4 rider levels: 1 leisure, 2 recreational, 3 active, and 4 avid. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these slides. You can hop on our website and check it out. But basically, the level kind of corresponds to kind of how many miles you're going, how much elevation you get, and how much time you're sitting in the saddle. So a level 1 trip, you're looking at 1535 miles up to 750 feet, maybe an hour or 2 in the saddle. Puglia, which is one of our trips in the boot of Italy, is actually a level 2 trip, but with an e-bike, it's kind of a way for you to make it a level 1 trip. So those mileages might not actually change on the trip, but it'll feel like it's less for you because of the ability to use an e-bike. So with level 2, you see, obviously we're going up. So a few more miles, a little more elevation, a little more time in the saddle. Provence is a great level 2 trip. Getting up to, level 3, obviously more miles, more elevation, more time in the saddle. This is a picture of Bryan Bay, which is great for our level 3 riders. And then avid, this is, level 4. This is our highest level. Obviously, you're looking at a lot of miles every day. It can be a ton of elevation, a ton of time in the saddle. This is most of our pro race trips, our cross country trip, our classic climbs. These are all level 4 trips. Excuse me. These are trips where, the riders are putting in a lot of miles, a lot of time in the saddle, and also a certain skill level when you're descending, because, when you go up a hill, you got to go back down it. And so we also want somebody who, can control descents, sharp turns, those things. So, our level 4 trips are something that you definitely want to be really, really comfortable with riding a bike, both ascending and descending. So let's talk about what's included in a Trek travel trip. So you have the hotel, the guides, daily breakfast, most lunches, most dinners, daily snacks and drinks. And we're famous for our snack table. Anybody who's been on a Trek travel trip can tell you a couple things that we always have on our snack table. Gratuities for any local staff. So when you're, either doing an excursion or a dinner, you don't have to worry about any gratuities. We cover all of those things. Any luggage transfers. If you're going from place to place, if you're not in a one hotel or something where you're staying in one spot, we'll cover all the luggage transfers, obviously, and also transportation going, to other spots. Obviously, the world-class bikes that we already talked about, which are equipped with Garmin GPSs. We also provide a helmet, a flat pack, of course, a support van, 1 to 3 daily routes, depending on the days. And of course, Trek travel gear, depending on the trip, kind of varies depending on what you're doing, what gear that you will get. And on select trips, some trips, ride camps, for example, you don't get any gear because they're just a real basic, different type of trip. Now you'll notice the list of what's not included is much shorter. Airfare and transportation to and from the trip aren't included, and we always encourage you to kind of go out a little bit early, a day or two. I mean, we always see travel hiccups. I mean, you can see recently with some of the travel on the East Coast, there can always be travel hiccups. So plan to get out there, a day or two ahead of time. It's a great place to visit, obviously. So lodging before and after the trip, if you want to stick around a little later. Any personal items like souvenirs aren't covered. Optional activities, you oftentimes will have some activities on the trip itself, but we leave you some time to go out and check out some of the things that you'd like to do yourself. Some meals, again, we want you to kind of get out and enjoy the local cuisine if you have any specific things you wanted to check out. And gratuity for the Trek travel guides is not included in the price of the trip as well. And as a guide, I want to say thank you in advance. So your next question is coming up. So open up your chat box again. This is a question I'm not sure Lizzie will necessarily know right off the top of her head, but the question is, what percentage of Trek travel guests are solo travelers? So we have A, 30, B, 5, C, 85, or D, 20%. Oftentimes people think of Trek travel trips, so feel free to throw the letter of the correct answer in the chat box if you like. Oftentimes people think of trips as kind of a couple thing or something you do with other folks, but solo travelers are the ultimate adventurers. And I think that, if you've been a solo traveler once, probably you'll meet a new friend, and then the next time you go to a Trek travel trip, you'll be going with that friend. So you'll maybe only a solo traveler once. And we really love having solo travelers. I can tell you on ride camps, they're a little more prevalent than other trips, and it's great to watch those friendships be built around our shared love of cycling. So the correct answer is yes, A, 30%. Good job. So now we are on to our third, and I think the most important component of tonight's event, where we dive into the featured trips. Hershey's here to tell you all about them. So Hershey, take it away.
Curtis, thank you so much for the introduction tonight. As always, it's great to be here with you. We share so many amazing times and points on the road, and now we get to do some virtual events together. But I can't wait to get back on the road with you. So without further ado, we have two awesome trips that we are discussing tonight. Our first one is our Asheville to Brevard trip, and I'll say that if you are looking to get out and enjoy the mountains of Western North Carolina, where you'll find the highest peak east of the Mississippi, besides amazing mountains, this tour is filled with ancient rivers, breathtaking views, stunning waterfalls, incredibly scenic roads will fill each and every day on our fantastic Asheville to Brevard trip. The terrain in Western North Carolina is mountainous for the first half of the trip. And then the second half of the trip, it does get a little less mountainous. I would say Trek Travel, we rate this trip as a level 3 trip, which means 35 miles per day with about 2,600 feet of climbing per day. With all of our trips, you can ride as much or as little as you want. We have a short option, a today's ride, and an avid option. And of course, Curtis mentioned those e-bikes. They are an awesome game changer. So regardless of what bike you choose, you're going to have an incredible time on this trip. Now, I mentioned the amazing riding which awaits you, and one of the days you will ride the famed Blue Ridge Parkway. What I want you to think about is buttery smooth pavement, as you can see here in this slide. You'll ride, the route begins on many switchbacks as we leave the town and climb up the mountain on the parkway at Craven Gap. From here, it's a 13-mile climb on mostly gentle grades. It's punctuated by amazing panoramic views of the Blue Ridge Mountains. One of the other days, you are going to tackle the incredible Mount Mitchell. This is also on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and the summit up here, as you can see, is just over 6,684 feet. So as the air begins to get a little bit thin and the views become incredible, you have reached the summit, and afterwards you will have an amazing smooth descent on down. Now, in downtown Asheville, our first hotel for our trip is the Foundry Hotel. It's all about, if you've ever heard the term location, 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 the French would say terroir, terroir, terroir. It's all about the location. Downtown Asheville, it's vibrant. They have amazing art galleries. If you are into beer, this trip is definitely for you. There's awesome breweries. The cuisine here is outstanding. great shopping if you are into shopping. And downtown Asheville, in and of itself, is just a vibrant and cool destination. And our hotel is right in the center of it all. Now, on the second half of the trip, we'll take a nature hike with naturalists and we learn all about the local flora and fauna in the region in the Pisgah National Forest. Besides amazing cycling and cuisine and hiking tours that you will do on this trip, we want to make sure that you learn about the amazing beer that is here. There's tons of breweries. One stop is at a smaller brewery called the Mills River Brewing Company. Here you can sit back, enjoy samples of the numerous beers that they have on tap. The food is fantastic and tasty, and it's from Juju's Craft Cookery. And after a nice day in the saddle to have a good beer and some food, I don't think life gets much better than that. Now, after visiting some of the smaller breweries, we'll also enjoy some of the larger ones too. We'll stop in at Oscar Blues, which features a simple tasting room, an outdoor patio where you can enjoy a pint or two or three, whatever your heart's content. On the last night of our trip, we're going to gather for a pretty cool social hour and dinner on the grounds of our second hotel at Pilot Cove. Here, believe it or not, you're going to enjoy some live bluegrass music, have some fantastic local barbecue. If you're a vegetarian and vegan, I just need to say, no worries. All diets and dietary restrictions can easily be accommodated. As you gather around the campfire to toast an unforgettable week in these mountains, the feel and the vibrancy of this trip and the town will definitely have stolen your heart. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to the magical mountains of Asheville, and we are going to head west to California in the wine country of Sonoma. So awaken your senses as you discover the best of the California wine country. Tasting amazing seasonal cuisine. You're going to inhale the aroma of fine wine as you twirl it around. And you're going to explore not only the majestic redwoods, but the glorious Pacific Ocean. You're going to discover the varied vineyard-lined terrain of both Sonoma County with their big three appellations, and our hotel is centered right in the center of them. And they are the Russian River Valley, the Dry Creek Valley, and the Alexander Valley. Now, I just want you to know that you will be described, like tonight, I'm going to be talking about the 5-day, 4-night trip. However, we also offer a 3-day and 2-night guided trip starting at $27.99. So 5 days sound great, but you can't make it happen. Our 3-day, 2-night trip is also a great way to get out, recharge, bike, sip some wine, and have an amazing, amazing vacation. So the terrain in Sonoma County, it's gently rolling. There are a few flat stretches on quiet but sometimes narrow roads. For those seeking more challenging rides, the hills to the east and to the west of the valleys are sure to please you, and they definitely will please the most avid cyclists. Our California Wine Bike Country Tour is best suited for those level 2 riders. Our level 3 and sometimes level 4 riders can easily be accommodated. There's more than enough riding to go around. Here we will average about 30 miles per day with just about 1,200 feet of climbing. Now you are looking at a map here of the different appellations, and we are based in the town of Healdsburg, which is right there, kind of in the center of the map. We're going to ride through, as I mentioned, the Russian River Valley, which is just to the south and to the west. We're going to go through the Dry Creek Valley, which is just north and to the west of Healdsburg. And then to the east of Healdsburg is the Alexander Valley. You'll also notice that there's a bunch of other colored stuff on this map that says Sonoma Valley, Fountain Grove, the Petaluma Gap, Carneros, Moon Mountain, Sonoma Mountain. These are all the different appellations. And what an appellation is, it's a very specific wine growing region that has its own microclimate. The soil might be different, the clouds may be different, and it just lends itself to being, I would say, a grape growing heaven to produce some of the most fantastic wines, not only in the US, but also in the world. Now, cycling through the tranquil byways, so the Alexander and Dry Creek valleys, you and Russian River Valley, you're going to pass distinctive wineries in these areas that are home to more than 50 wineries. Literally every half a mile you go is a new winery. The Dry Creek Valley is known as one of the top producing Zinfandel regions in the world. Here on day one of the trip, if you are up for a climb, you're going to go through the Dry Creek Valley. And then if you choose, you can go up Rockpile Road. It's definitely a challenging climb, but it will give you incredible views of Lake Sonoma. So climb is worth the view, in my opinion, if you choose to do it. There's also an opportunity for another challenge that's later in the week, and this is a Pine Flat Road. This is an 11-mile climb that entertains local cyclists and pros alike. And if you are not into climbing, don't worry, you do not have to do Pine Flat Road, but I will say a few years ago, if the name Levi Leipheimer jumps out, we're riding up as a group and everybody's kind of like spinning and thinking we're going fast. And then this guy comes up, hey guys, on a time trial bike, and it's Levi Leipheimer, and he is passing us like we are standing still. So it's a spectacular climb. There are great views. It's hard to believe. It's right there in the heart of Sonoma County and not too far away from our hotel. So Pine Flat Road is another option. For those that don't want to do the Avid option on this day, the today's ride is 34 miles and the short option is 27. And if you want to do less than that, you can always put your arm out and get a boost in the van. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about one of the coolest days on this trip. We weave our way through the different vineyards. We go through the Russian River Valley. We'll pass Corbel if you're into sparkling wine. They call it champagne, but the French don't like that. So I'll respect the French and we'll call it sparkling wine. We'll go through also the Pinot Noir country, Sonoma County, and that is the Russian River Valley. We will follow the Russian River to the estuary, to a small cafe in the town of Jenner, right there on the coast. We'll stop for lunch a little bit farther down the road, and you will see some amazing views of both the wine country and of the Pacific Ocean. For those that want to do a big day, you turn around and bike your way back. For those that feel like biking out to the coast and having a margarita sounds good, you can do that and get a boost on the van. Now, if you're into riding and tasting, we definitely recommend tasting at the end of the day, or the town of Healdsburg and the square has tons of tasting rooms. One of the ones I'd like to highlight is we take you as our group to the Selby's tasting room. It's just a short walk from our hotel. So you bike, shower, change, had a great ride, good food, and then you can hop into one of the oldest downtown tasting rooms on the square. The winery is 100% owned and operated by Susie Selby. You can say that a few times fast. Now, Selby wines have been served in the White House since 1995, and they've gone through 4 different administrations, both Democrat and Republican. So a bipartisan agreement is pretty rare these days, but they all agree Selby's wines are great, and we think they are too. The wine has been served at for numerous foreign leaders, presidential dinners, entertainers, actors alike. Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Obama all served and enjoyed their wines, and they enjoyed a broad selection of both white, red, rosé, and of course, dessert wines. Now, on day 2 of the trip, we stop at the famed Armstrong Redwoods, which you can see here in this slide. The redwoods are incredible. You can check out the oldest tree in the park, and that's the Colonel Armstrong's tree. It's over 1,400 years of age. It's incredible. The tallest tree in the park is a Parsons Jones tree, which is over 310 feet high. They're incredible. As you bike in, it's like a sudden silence falls on everything, and there's just a peaceful tranquility that goes throughout the Armstrong Redwoods.
We had a couple of Chardonnays the night before.
And as you can see, They are simply big, massive, and incredible, and my description definitely does not do it well. Now, on the last night of the trip, we take you to some fantastic restaurants, from Charlie Palmer's Strike Kitchen. Another restaurant that we go to here is Chalkboard, and Chef Shane McAnally. Shane creates a refined family style dishes with whimsical touches for, the verbiage is comforting and charming dining experience. Although I would say if you are into fantastic food that is local, that is farm to table, that is served family style, so you can get as much as you want with unique flavors for the seasons, that everything is grown within a small radius there in Sonoma County, you are going to love Chalkboard. They can easily take care of any dietary restriction. The wine is great. They have amazing handcrafted cocktails, and it's sure to please. This is a great way for us to finish up the trip. So if you're in a farm to food or farm to table feast, Chalkboard definitely does it right. Now, we definitely hope you enjoyed learning more about our trips, from our North Carolina trip to our California wine country trip, and we have so many others. But if you have any other questions about all of these trips, feel free to ask Curtis or I. We're happy to answer them for you. Both trips are fantastic, and my wife is probably telling me we need to go to Sonoma County because she loves to ride her bike and drink wine too. And with that, Curtis, I will hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Hershey. Well, whenever we do these, it always makes me think of another place that I want to go. So, and it seems like on Valentine's Day, a great time to plan a Napa Valley trip.
I completely agree. Maybe you and I should be out there on the 3-day weekend now,
Yeah.
Curtis.
So what a great, it's like a great, romantic getaway. So, I'm assuming that the rest of you are as excited about, a trip of a lifetime as well. So let me tell you what's next. Watch out for an email from our team with lots of great info to recap tonight's presentation, including a link to the video so you can look at the pictures again. Go visit our website and get more information about these trips or any others, and dates and prices, trip logistics, so you know where to fly into, what to bring. There's just so much information on our website. You can also play around with the Trip Finder tool to look at other trips and search by region, date, rider level, and just any other way you want to travel. It's really easy to find lots and lots of trips. You can also look for information on our industry-leading cancellation policy and our travel insurance provider. And then once you've decided on a trip, give us a call to book it Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Or if you're one of those folks who likes to shop late at night, you can book it online as well. So however you like to do it. And obviously, like Hershey said, we're always here to, if you want to just call and chat about the trip, learn a little more about it. Our travel consultants are absolutely amazing. And then once you've booked your trip, you got to get ready for it. I mean, this isn't kind of a lazy trip where you lay on the beach drinking pina coladas all day. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Hershey will tell you I absolutely love pina coladas. I've never really put one in my water bottle yet, but maybe I should one of these days, especially on those hot rides. But getting ready is really part of the experience. And so after you book your trip, you're going to want to make sure you go to your local trek shop, get all geared up, talk to them, and obviously, if you're local, for some of you, your local bike shop is Trek Lawrence. So you want to go into there, talk to Lizzie, check out the bikes, get fitted, find out what gear you need. If you look at the list and realize maybe you need some rain gear or some sun sleeves, which I've started wearing, which I never did before, but I absolutely love sun sleeves now, for those places that are really, really hot and sunny. But go to the Trek shop, check out the bikes, check out an e-bike if you haven't done it. And just, and find out about training, what you need to do to get ready. Because the more you prepare for a Trek travel trip, the more you're going to enjoy it. So we hope you have enjoyed, hearing about these trips. But if you want to hear about other trips, we do these on Wednesdays. Generally, you can go to our website, trektravel.com/events, or just go to our main website. And then under events on the About Us link, you can find a link. It looks just like this page I have up here with all the upcoming trips. I can tell you the ones coming up the rest of the month. Next week on the 21st, we're going to talk about Switzerland and Portugal. And then we always have 2 sessions. We have kind of an East Coast session and a West Coast session. So next week, the the first session's at 6 p.m. Central Time, and the second session's at 8 p.m. So it kind of allows you to kind of figure out which one works better for you. And then on the 28th, we have Norway and Slovenia, and again, 2 sessions there as well. Anything beyond that, go to our website, check it out. Again, we're going to have them throughout the year. But before we go, tonight, I want to finish with some questions and answers. So if you have any questions, I'm going to stop our presentation right now. And for those of you online, if you want to just either throw something in the chat box or turn on your video or your audio, and you can ask us. And then Lizzie, for you in the store, feel free to unmute yourself and throw out any questions that you got. So any questions, anybody? Or did Hershey do an amazing job telling you all about strips? He always does. Well, I'll ask a question, Hirsch. So, anything, Lizzie? You got something?
Yeah, Don was wondering if those are the only 2 trips you have, and I said no. There's a lot more. Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, maybe Curtis. What if we talk about our few favorite trips?
Well, you go first, Hirsch. You have more, so go ahead.
I was going to say you should go first.
Oh,
and then, yeah.
I'll tell you. So one of my favorite trips is our Oregon trip. I mean, you bike around Crater Lake, so you're biking around, a volcano that exploded. I think it's absolutely outstanding. And then going through the volcanic regions of Oregon, and then I think these quaint little towns like Bend. Well, Bend's not quaint, but like Sisters, and going over Mackenzie Pass. Like I guided there for a season a couple years ago and absolutely fell in love with it. And maybe one of the reasons was on my climb up Mackenzie Pass, I was literally swarmed by like butterflies because it was like butterfly season. So there was like that experience for me. It just kind of burned in my mind. Now, I will say when I was descending, butterflies at speed are still dangerous. And so I felt bad when I was getting a few of them stuck in my helmet. But that is one of my favorite trips. You've talked about Croatia, and I have not done it, but that's the place I absolutely want to go. It looks incredible. And then Majorca is another spot, I think, for riders because it offers like ride camps and luxury trips. It's a place where you kind of figure out what kind of trip you want to do and, go to ride some really iconic rides.
Awesome. And I'll give you 2 of my favorite in the US and 2 of my favorite in Europe. And one of them in the US, if you're looking for a great 6-day, 5-night trip, Bryce to Zion is incredible. If you've ever dreamt of cycling through the high desert, seeing Bryce National Park and doing some hiking along with Zion, I think the hotels are fantastic on that trip. The riding is incredible. And the fact that you not only get to ride your bike, but also do some hiking is makes it an awesome trip. If you are into gravel riding, one of my favorite gravel trips in North America that we offer is the Shenandoah Valley. I was there last fall. Every day riding your bike is unique and different. One day we cycle through the Mennonite country and you pass horse and buggies. Another day you get to go to a whole different part of the gravel roads in the Shenandoah Valley. It's beautiful in the fall. There's just the gravel riding out there is incredible, from farm country to mountains. The views are spectacular. We're at one hotel the entire time. And personally, I like that because when you're based at one spot, you're not worried about packing up and moving and packing up and moving. When you get back to the hotel, you're done for the day. And I think that's an incredible trip. As Curtis mentioned, Croatia, if you want an incredible luxury experience trip, I think our Croatian Dalmatian coast is spectacular. I was based there for 5 years, so I'm definitely biased. However, the clear waters of the Adriatic Sea, the food of Croatia, the people, most of them speak English, so you don't have to worry about translations or anything. You can easily get by. The country is very safe. The riding is fantastic. You hop and sail on a sailboat one day. I mean, you cannot beat it, in my opinion. You get to do a hiking tour of Dubrovnik, and it's awesome. The trip ends in Split, where Diocletian's palace was, and it's incredible. So I think Croatia's awesome. And then it's hard to pick my next favorite because there's so many great ones, but Tuscany, we offer a lot of trips in Tuscany, whether you want to ride paved roads and see amazing, cool cities, have some of the best coffee, wine, and food you will ever experience. And the Italian culture with cycling is simply incredible. It's definitely fused together. So it's great. We also offer a gravel trip in Tuscany too, if you want to get off the beaten road. So I'm happy to answer any other questions on our trips. I used to work for us full time in Europe for many years. So um, I've spent a lot of time over there, and I've been with Trek Travel since 2005, guiding and leading trips. So I, there's a good chance if you have a question about a trip, I've led it and can talk about it.
Well, Hirsch, Ann asked what our most popular trip is. And if I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't it Provence? I think Provence is
It's
one of
either
our most
Provence or
popular.
Tuscany. They go
Tuscany.
back and forth, but
Yep.
you know, riding in Provence is great. Uh, it's unlike any other experience too. Whether you want to do the one that has Mont Ventoux in it, which is an incredible climb, to just going through Roussillon and the Luberon region. The roads are small and tiny, and they weave and wind through the different vineyards and through the lavender fields. So Provence is great as
And I
well.
want to say, I think Napa is one of the more popular trips in the U.S. And I want to do a shout out because I actually loved our trips in Texas. And Texas is a less, like, riders don't think of Texas, and I've done a lot of trips in Texas. So like you, I'm a little biased because, we think of Napa and we think of Tuscany, we think of Provence, all these amazing places. But I gotta tell you, Texas, we own Fredericksburg, which is this little German town in West Central Texas, and it feels very German. You can literally get Tex-Mex and sauerkraut, in the same place. But the riding is just kind of these like great little kind of country roads where you're out and it's really quiet and you can be on it, and it's a road, but you won't see a vehicle for so long. You kind of think it's a bike, bike path. But I really like it down there, and it being in the middle of the country, it's kind of easy for folks to get to. And there we have a ride camp and a discovery trip. So for folks who are looking at more of an entry price point as opposed to, a little bit easier than going over to Europe, and which is amazing. That's a nice way to kind of step into a Trek travel trip, and do a discovery trip or a ride camp. And we didn't talk about ride camps, but those are where you ride 7 days, either 4 days or 7 days, depending on what you want. It's all about riding, a little less cultural, but those are generally a little bit lower price point for folks. And so a nice way to have your first experience if you weren't really sure about some of the larger trips.
Yeah. Another great option too, if you're a fan of pro cycling, we have a direct connection with the pro cycling team.
Yeah.
And our race trips are incredible too. So if you've ever dreamt of seeing the Tour de France live or the Giro or Vuelta, those are amazing experiences.
And as I mentioned, those are most of our avid trip, most of our pro trips are avid, though there are some that are still active, I saw. So you got to look at the trip and figure out, kind of where you're at, but most of them are avid trips.
Curtis, I think you would do a great job answering this question. One came up in the chat box. I said, my riding is all in the Midwest. How intimidating are the inclines and declines? And I figured I shouldn't answer this because you and I have spent time here in Aspen riding together,
Yeah.
and you could give it a better perspective than me.
Yeah, Lucy. I mean, I ride in the Midwest too. I'm in Minnesota, so I can understand your concerns, but I can tell you a couple things. One is, I mean, it depends on the trip, obviously, and that's something, if that's a big concern for you, talk to the trip consultant about that. You can even they'll probably even connect you with maybe one of the guides out there to get really really detailed information, about that. But Trek is, the guides before every trip are going to give you a route talk that day and talk about that. And so if there are ever any kind of sections where it raised a concern for you, where it was like a steep descent with some sharp turns, that's where you can get a boost, kind of skip those sections. We've often done that. It's all, we say, your day your way. So we are going to make sure that you enjoy that ride. And again, as Hershey mentioned before, if you're going up a climb or you see a climb coming up and it has some grades, and we'll talk about that, like it has maybe this much of 14%. If you're like, I don't want that, or even I don't want that with an e-bike. Again, this is why the e-bikes are amazing, because I gotta tell you, I have some climbs here and I just put it on turbo and I crush it, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't seem so hard. But if that's not an alternative for you, put your arm out. we're happy there to boost you up, the route if you're doing it and you're kind of struggling and you see the Trek Travel van coming in, put your arm out, or at the stop before that spot, they'll boost you past it. So we want to make sure you enjoy the ride whatever way you can, whether it's through, a boost, whether it's through just kind of getting more information about it or using an e-bike. I think that's something you'll be able to get through, but it's something you want to talk about. I mean, you definitely want to choose a route that's good for you. And I know I've been talking about, go ahead, Hirsch.
Oh, I was just going to say, and just to add to that, Curtis,
Yeah.
is sometimes depending on size of the trip, the guides, I've definitely coached people on both climbing and descending, how to read the road and when to slow down and brake and build up your confidence in that as well. So
Good point.
I know those climbs and descents can be intimidating, but it shouldn't keep you from doing something that you've wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we are definitely here to help you have an incredible experience, however that might be.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I've definitely coached a bunch of people down descents that they were very concerned about. And when they got down, they're like, man, that was incredible. I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah. No, good point, Hirsch. I mean, I tell you, when I was in Colorado with Hershey again, there's obviously big descents there. And like, Hirsch told me about, what it was, what to expect, and knowing what to expect is all the difference, and so it really, really helps, knowing what's coming up where. So any other questions from anybody?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Lizzie, anything else in the store? Anybody else online? One of the questions, Hirsch, go ahead, Liz. Or anybody?
No, I was just saying, I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, Hirsch, let's talk about like gear and stuff, like pedals and seats and things of that sort. What are your thoughts on that kind of stuff if you're getting ready for a Trek travel trip? What do you need to bring? What should you bring?
So you definitely should bring, if you have a saddle at home that you're riding a lot, we really recommend you bring your own saddle. We do have saddles, and if the saddle you ride is one of the ones that we offer, you're good. Don't worry about it. But if you've been training on a certain bike, definitely bring that saddle with you, because that's what your body is used to, and it definitely will make that experience more comfortable. We offer on our trips flat pedals, pedals with cages, and then Shimano road pedals and Shimano mountain bike pedals. So if you use one of those, you don't need to bring them with you because we can put them on your bike. If you use Look or Speed Play or another type of pedal that's not Shimano, definitely you're going to want to bring those pedals with you. We offer cool wave cell helmets on our trips, and some guests love those helmets. Other guests feel like their helmet is a little bit more comfortable, whatever it might be at home. So you are welcome to bring your own helmet. I travel with my own helmet as well. And then layers. We recommend layers. And Lizzie at the shop or your nearest Trek store, Lizzie can definitely help get you guys ready to make sure you have a rain jacket, a wind jacket, and some different layers to take care of you. And you definitely will thank her. And what we found is if you do not bring a rain jacket on trip with you, it will rain. If you do bring a rain jacket with you, chances are you're probably going to do all right, unless you go to one of our regions where it might sprinkle a little bit.
Yeah. Great, Hirsch. And like Hirsch said, we're happy to, we'll take all that stuff on, or put it on and take it off. So like, no problem. You just give it to the guides, you give them your pedals, you give them your seat. We're happy to, put that on the bike and let you adjust it for the week or ride it for the week. And then when they're done, they'll, take it off for you and, throw it into a Ziploc bag so your pedals don't grease up all your other clothes.
Yep. Well,
anything else, Lizzie? Anyone else online? Any other questions? Well, cool. Hey, well, thank you all so much for joining us again on Valentine's Day. We really appreciate being your Valentine, Hirsch. Yeah, I'm glad you're my Valentine.
look at that. Did you see the hearts?
Yeah, I did. That's awesome.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
I don't know if it works. Anyway, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and hopefully we'll see you on a Trek travel trip or another event.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Bye.